Hello, and welcome to another video where I am going to today be speaking about the concept and the question around, are you stifling your expression so you can be liked? And just to really hit home and prove the point, I am in my fullest expression today with my over-the-top clothing. This is like one of my festival outfits, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wear this just to really amplify the message and to show that we can be ourselves, and being ourselves is one of the most important things we can do in order to really have our businesses and our messages thrive and reach the people that they're meant to reach. Because if we're stifling ourselves, if we're not being ourselves, if we're not showing up in our authentic expression, then how are we meant to reach the people we're meant to reach? Because we're blocking that creative expression. We're blocking that energy that magnetizes the right people to us. So I think sometimes if you're in this place in your business or in life where it feels like things are forced or it's not flowing and opportunities aren't presenting and things aren't attracting to you, I think rather than looking externally and trying to figure out what's wrong with the strategy, it's more important to look internally and be like, am I truly being myself right now? Am I showing up in the fullest, most authentic expression of who I am? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go and dress up in sparkly, crazy, over-the-top clothes and wear big, expressive jewelry and all of that stuff, but it's about connecting to you and what does it look like for you to be in your expression, and who are you, and how can you bring more of that online so people can feel you. At the end of the day, when we are online and when we're sharing our messages and we're putting ourselves out there all the time, then there does come this point where we need to get over this trying to please everybody and trying to be liked, and we just need to be like, rip the band-aid off and come out and be like, this is me, this is who I am, I'm proud of who I am. And in doing that, that's when we attract the best opportunities for us, because then when you're coming back to that scale of consciousness and you're operating in that space of courage and authenticity and vulnerability, then people feel that, and that is what attracts things to you, because then you're operating in that place, that more authentic place. I can't remember what that state is, the emotional state, but it's a way you're moving out of the survival paradigm. You're not ashamed of who you are. You're not feeling like you need to hide who you are. You're not afraid. You're stepping into that courage and that leadership and that power, and people feel that, and people are magnetized to that because you're being who you are. So something that prompted me to want to speak about this topic is I have recently met some new people, and there's always like this part of me that's a little bit nervous. Like when people follow me because they're following me for business, I don't care how much I post because they're there for that. That's to be expected. But when I meet people out in the world at like festivals and events and things like that, I kind of give them a warning. I'm like, if you are going to follow me online, like I can be annoying. Because I'm not just using it as a social platform. I'm using it as a business platform. I've got a brand. I do share a lot and I do post a lot. And I kind of give people this warning in advance, like, I'm annoying. You're going to have to get used to it. And if they've met me in real life, they know who I am anyway, and they know how I act, and they know that I'm like that in real life. Like, especially if they've met me at a festival, they're gonna see me in my expression, so they're gonna kind of know that I'm a little over the top and out there. But I still like to just give that little gentle, like, hey, just so you know, I post a lot. And so it's funny, like I notice when that happens and when I've got these new connections and I can see that they're watching my stories and stuff, there's this little shy part of me that's like, oh, I feel like I'm being annoying. Oh, I'm posting too much. And every time I go to share a new post, there's like this fleeting moment where I think, oh my God, I must be so annoying. I post way too much, blah, 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 all of that inner noise. But then I post anyway. And this is the key part that I want to really express here is, yes, I still have all that noise. Yes, I still have all of that stuff going on. I'm not denying that. I'm not above that. I'm not exempt to that. But the difference is I don't let that be the end point. I don't let that stop me from still showing up, because I know I have a message. I know my expression is valid. I know that when I'm allowing my channel to move and I'm allowing these messages to come through, then they reach the people they're meant to reach. And even if nobody responds and it doesn't reach anybody, it's clearing my channel and it's not allowing it to just get stagnant and blocked, because that's what happens when we bottle things up and when we don't share the things we want to share and we don't say the things we want to say. Where does it go? It just all gets stuck inside of us, and then eventually it just like gets so sticky that it has to erupt and it has to come out. And so why not share the things in the moment when the current is alive? And when it comes to online business and like messaging, there's this other element that I see a lot of people falling into as well, and something that I've experienced myself, where either it's I don't want to be too much, so I block the current and I restrict it, or I feel like I'm going to run out of stuff to say, so I'll save it all for later and I'll try and schedule it out and plan it out, and then there's all of this stuff that never gets shared, because by the time I get to the point where I need something to say today, I'll go look through my notes. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't even feel relevant to me anymore. Like that was something that was alive 2 weeks ago. Now it's not even how I feel, because we're constantly changing and constantly evolving. So if we're not sharing it in the moment, then the moment is generally lost. And obviously it's different. Like if I'm sharing the educational content and I'm doing videos around, this is how you use Kajabi, or this is how you create content or do something in Canva, like that stuff, although the systems can sometimes change and things will tweak a little bit, like that stuff is generally always relevant, because that stuff I've been talking about, it's been aligned with my business for many years. But the way I move in the world, the way I operate in the world, the way I see things and perceive things, that's constantly shifting and evolving. And when I don't allow myself to share these messages in the moment and I don't allow myself to express myself, then that's actually blocking my creativity, because I'm not allowing my creativity to be expressed. And it creates a ripple effect. That's when you block yourself from receiving clients, you block yourself from receiving money, you block yourself from all the opportunities around you, because you're holding on so tightly and you're operating from this place of scarcity of like, I don't have enough. I'm going to run out of things to say. I'm going to run out of things to share. So I'll hold it all, or hold it all really tight. And by not allowing that into the world and not sharing that and not creating that current and that flow and moving with that, you're blocking your ability to receive as well. So it's all a current. It's all moving and flowing and energy. And the more you allow yourself to actually express, the more spacious you feel, the more free you feel, the more you attract stuff and magnetize stuff to you, because it's all about that energy. So if you are someone that is holding back your expression and afraid of being too much, then my invitation to you would be to just post the things, and maybe instead of like fixating on perfection and fixating on doing things the right way, maybe just experiment with what would happen if I just say the things I want to say, and just get really comfortable with posting unfinished things, or posting little grabs on Facebook or stories where it's just like 2 or 3 sentences rather than these big long thought out posts, and it's just like tweets going out on Facebook and things like that. Like, experiment with what would it feel like if I just fully allowed myself to be seen in my expression in whatever way that's moving in any moment. And It doesn't mean you have to get dressed up fancy. Like the other thing as well is like I see people put too much pressure on themselves to look a certain way or act a certain way, which again is not the authentic expression of you. If you notice, I never have makeup on. I I don't like putting makeup on. I feel like it's annoying on my face. I'm usually in hot, humid, sticky environments, and when you've got makeup on, it just feels like it's like sticking to your face. And sometimes I like it, like if I'm shooting a video that's like one that's going to be more of like a marketing video and things like that, and it's going to be present in lots of places, then yeah, sometimes I do like to put on a face and dress up and make myself feel that little bit more elegant and refined. But for me, that's not actually the truth of who I am. Like, I prefer not to be wearing makeup. So I would rather do videos dressed. Like, for me, dressing is the way I like to express. So I will always be aware of what I'm wearing before I do a video, unless I'm doing like a live on Instagram or my stories, then I'll show up however I am, sometimes naked, sometimes in my pajamas, like things like that, because I know that's like a fleeting thing. It's not staying on my feed. But for me, that's the thing I'm conscious of when I'm creating. I'm like, okay, what outfit applies to the message that I'm sharing right now, and aesthetics in terms of backgrounds and layouts and things like that. Those are the kinds of things I think about. So when it comes to you, think about what's relevant to your brand. So you'll notice like my backgrounds are general, and that's why this Airbnb that I'm in is perfect. My backgrounds generally have black aesthetics or red aesthetics because that's my brand. That's who I am. Like, I literally have red hair. I often wear black because it just matches my brand. So these are things to think about too when it comes to expression. What is deeply relevant to you and your brand, and what are the things that make you memorable, and what is the things that will start to become known. So people generally tend to know me for sparkly stuff too. Like, I may wear blacks, but I also always wear like sparkly stuff, and that's like the little raver in me that comes out, that's like, yes, sparkle, show up, be over the top. And my jewelry is always like statement jewelry. So what are the things that enhance your expression without it actually feeling like it's really hard, and without it feeling like you're putting on something that's not you? So this is not something I feel uncomfortable in. Like, this is me. You can tell when people are doing things because they think that's what they have to do. So if you're ever there's that fine line between authentic expression and expression that's forced because you feel like that's the thing you have to do to stand out or meet a certain standard. And this comes back to what I was recently speaking about, where it was like I started to feel like I had to dress professionally, or I had to look a certain way to look like a luxury brand, when actually, in fact, that's not me. This is more me living in my bathers, like being in hot places where I'm half naked all the time because it's so hot. And that's who I am. That is me to my core. I am a gypsy beach rave outdoor adventurous kind of person. So for me to sit here and try to wear corporate wear, like, I escaped the corporate world because I don't like the corporate look and the corporate feel. Like, why would I then try and infuse that into my brand when it's so not the expression of who I am? And so I just wanted to speak to that, to invite you, if you are someone who is resisting your expression and not showing up because you feel like you have to be something you're not, or you feel like you have to do all these things or tick all these boxes, I just invite you to abandon all of that and to stop worrying about the perfection, and to just allow yourself to show up in your expression and see how liberating that feels and see what it does to you when you start operating from that place. And just allow it to be messy and allow it to be imperfect. And that's how you get clarity on your message. And that's how you figure out, okay, well, this thing stuck, this thing worked, this thing didn't. But how can you know if you're never experimenting and if you're never expressing? How do you learn what works for you? How do you learn what resonates with your audience? If you're just thinking like, oh no, I'm going to hold this one back because I'm just not quite sure about that one right now, or I've already posted today, so I'm not going to post another thing because I don't want to annoy my audience. Oh, but if you've got all of that going on, then not only are you stifling yourself and stifling your opportunity to connect with people and to bring people into your world and to magnetize people to you, but you're also missing out on the opportunity to impact the people who need to hear from you. Even if it's just one person that engages, that is one person whose life you changed by showing up in your expression today. So wouldn't you rather do that than keep it locked up, never seeing the light of day? That's where I'm going to leave this for you today. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video really soon.